2014. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Ruderman.
Here.
Newton.
Here.
Solosky. Here. Steines. Hurtado.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Josh?
Here, if you could write it down further, this is about going down the plate counter.
Is that on?
Yes, it's on.
It just was front.
I can hear the voice.
Any discussions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ludeman.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Solosky.
Yes.
Steines. Hurtado.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Discussions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ludeman.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Solosky.
Yes.
Steines.
Yes.
Hurtado.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we have a presentation from John Mayer. Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. Actually, the three of us are going to be presenting kind of the full
Sounds good.
full project. So we
All
have
right.
discussed them.
I'm gonna take it out there.
Good evening. Gene asked me actually to come to tonight's meeting. Just kind of give you a quick update of how these two projects that Steve and Jen are going to get into more detail about started. In 2012, the Park District was awarded a DCO grant of $600,000. $100,000 of that was for the Joe Plezik Memorial Baseball Field. The other $500,000 was for the DuPage River Trail segment from the Lightport Street Bridge the village just recently completed, heading south to the ComEd right away. Baxter Woodman, they're the engineering firm that actually was contracted out to do the design, engineering, permitting, and putting the project out to bid, which is currently out to bid right now, and Steve will touch on that a little bit more. But they were contracted out basically because they're about the riverfront plans of the village. And they also incorporated the Park District's Phase 1 engineering plans that was done in 2001 and 2012. The original completion date for that project was supposed to be December 31st of 2013. The Park District did put in a request to extend that deadline to October 31st of this year. So it should be able to get done. In addition to that project, the Park District was awarded in 2013 an IDOT Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program funding grant of $604,700. Basically, that's connecting this trail that Baxter Woodman's working on now. The bridge is going to go to DuPage River and it's going to connect up to the Fort Bex Trail, which is in Redmond Community Park. And the Park District share for that particular project is $151,180. Engineering Resources is the engineer that was contracted out to do the Phase 2 engineering. That was last August, and they've been working on that. John will update you where they're at on that. And then once the project is getting ready to be bid out on the IDOT bid letting, they'll have to get an agreement that will be done with IDOT in the Park District, and then another agreement with Engineering Resources to do the Phase 3 engineering. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John's put up an aerial here that shows the alignment of DuPage River Trail path that's currently out to bid. Park District staff has been meeting with village representatives and Plainfield River Fund Foundation representatives over the course of the past couple months to coordinate the completion of the project along with Baxter Woodman. So plans were completed and all permits have been received for this extent of the trail system that goes from Lockport street up here, and it'll go all the way through this parcel that's along the west side of the river, down to the common easement. And that's the part where the bridge project picks up that John's gonna touch on in a little bit more detail. So as I said, this piece is currently constructed, the documents are done, it's out to bid. We plan on a bid award coming back before this board in early May to look at a low bidder and a contract award. And this is going to be done as part of the grant project, and there may also be some matching funds that are done through the foundation for some of the improvements that fall outside of the grant project. So with that, I'll let John go into detail about the bridge project, and then we can answer any questions you got.
Hey, could I ask of you, because I wanted you folks here as a point of information for the board, but could you move your easel a little bit so that some of the public could also see
Sure.
what we're talking about up here? It's ultimately their money, so they should.
How's that?
Whatever's good for you.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you in regards to these bids that are going out. You're talking about low bid. Now, in regards to quality of material going into these pads, with these low bids, and so is there going to be substitutes between low bids and low quality materials for these pads?
Are there going to be substitutes for low?
Yeah, I'm sorry, okay, like I said, you pay for what you get.
Right.
And is there going to be inspectors and people keeping informed in regards to what kind of materials are being used out there? I'm sure it's going to be asphalt, right?
Yes.
For the final topping?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an asphalt path, and during the project, there'll be both staff representatives out there, Park District staff, and engineering representatives during the progress to review the construction.
Well, my concern is regards to the quality of materials. It's the asphalt, how long it's going to stay, in good shape before we have to, say, continue on maintaining it, regards to resealing it. What's your guarantee on it?
The guarantee is it's a typical one-year guarantee for workmanship. That's the standard for a lot of public bid projects.
Okay. And in regards to, what about looking into concrete pads? Anybody looking into those matters? In regards to cost between asphalt and concrete?
No, right now, I believe it's all meant to be an asphalt path system, so.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right, so this is the next section, and all right, so this is zooming in a little bit more. The path that you had just seen is up in the north section, and the part that we're working with, actually the trail ends right here. Okay, so the part that we're working with is actually quite a bit shorter portion of trail. But it does include a bridge structure over the DuPage River. And so this one, as Cameron had said, it's through the the ITEP funds, and those are federal funds, so it's an 80-20 cost split. And the district is able to participate in a cost share where it's the amount can be applied to the actual 80%, the engineering for both phase 2 and phase 3. So just wanted to, touch upon, this is the alignment, and it pretty much connects with the Fort Beggs Trail. And this part on the south end is the comp storage area. And that's needed because of the fill associated with the bridge itself. And so this is a practice area, and on the south end there's the baseball field, and it's positioned in such a way to minimize any type of impact to the playing area.
Do we have any models in regards to what this bridge is going to look like, in regards to side profile?
We do have some preliminary renderings of that. I don't have them with me, but it is very similar to the one that was constructed north of town.
Steel bridge.
The same, yeah, the steel bridge, prefabricated. And about the same width, maybe a little bit, about 140 or 40 feet. So Schedule-wise, we're looking to submit the first preliminary engineering plan in June. It's a little bit longer process with IDOT because it's on a state letting, and so that the bid letting is scheduled for November. So the first submittal is required in June. And so that's a little bit longer process. The phase 3 engineering would be required just because of the federal funds. That requires an RE on site at all times, taking tickets, collecting all the information, making sure that all the materials are approved. That's all submitted and approved through IDOT. So it's a much more rigorous quality control process.
There are possibly some road adjustments that might need to be made, and it's township roads, so if there are adjustments, they'll have to go through coordination with the township. And then regarding the compensatory storage John mentioned, we are going to be looking elsewhere along the river with the village to see if there's other locations we could possibly make up some of that compensatory storage, but at least we know there's a plan in place that we can accomplish this on the Parkinson property.
Is it dry bottom storage?
Yes, dry bottom, and then a pipe would drain it out to the river here.
What's the slope of the bridge as it comes down towards River Road?
It's a 5% maximum. We'll try to get that lower.
There's enough land north of the road between there and the edge of the creek to support the footings for the bridge?
Yes, there would be a concrete abutment in that area.
Is there any distance between the end of the bridge and the road for slowdown of the bicycles or pedestrians or anything like that?
Or ADA
Yeah,
compliant?
there is up about 30 feet clearance.
Oh, okay.
So as a bicyclist comes out from the bridge to be able to look both ways. And plus it'll be signed in both directions and pavement marking crossing as well as the signs, so it will be illuminated.
We already have the clearing underneath the comment easement anyway. So
Well, that was another thing. Originally, and I might mention this is part of the phase 1 study, which is the 13-mile-long DuPage River Trail study that was approved back in 2003. That trail is shown to continue on through along the river, but but this one connects here. That originally was shown to be closer to the lines. We checked with ComEd and talked to some contractors, found out what that clearance requirement is because cranes will be needed to drop in the structure, and so that's why we ended up moving it further away from those high tension, high power wires that exist right here. So we had to do a little adjusting there. There's also a main sanitary intercept line that runs in that area as well. So we shifted it over.
Back to the slope situation, we talked about bicycles and children using it. What about the handicap, the ADA compliance?
5% is the maximum for ADA as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So we couldn't exceed the 5%, except all practical reasons, try to get it less than 5% coming just into a crossing like that.
Gotcha.
what type of traffic calming or signage or lights are going to be available for the roadway to alert people that their trail is crossing? Because it's not in a real good location. There's kind of a bend in the road right there.
Yeah. There will be the signage, and at this point, there's not flashing lights proposed for that particular location. I guess that could be an alternative. Discussions with the township with regards to that will be a part of the process.
So you're saying that the bridge is not going to cross over, is it the River Road?
River Road.
Not going completely past it?
It's an at-grade crossing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an at-grade crossing. The fact that the road is potentially going to be improved in this section to possibly pick it up a little bit would give an opportunity as a kind of traffic calming feature as well. So serve two purposes.
Another point is that road gets pretty, even though it's a speed limit out there, but it does get busy. And,
Absolutely.
notice that if there are people from the area, and when people coming across off that bridge, at grade level across that road, some problems.
Well, some of the alternates that we did look at had a for lack of a better word, like a switchback similar to what there is over off of 59 where the trail zigzags. We didn't have enough room to be able to make that curve.
You know, shifting the road possibly,
Exactly. You'd almost have to shift the whole road over to accommodate that type of feature. And then there's power lines that will be relocated as well.
Well, that's why I bring up a point, well, why not just going across, overhead, across River Road? You know, I know, I mean,
Yeah.
if the thoughts came across.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With this budget, that would probably cost maybe 3 times as much to have to build a structure that would span over both the road and the.
Safety-wise, okay.
Yeah. So it's done pretty common in quite a few areas, so if it was something that was really unique, we want to take a closer look at it, but this is kind of a typical crossing. So we use the typical signs and pavement marking for that as well.
Yes, sir.
Who's writing the specification, and then what government authority is actually putting the bid out?
This, since it's a state letting, this will be advertised in Springfield along with all of the other projects for that scheduled letting. So this will be advertised with road projects, with other bridge projects, and the specifications are all done according to the IDOT standard specifications for road and bridge construction. And they review everything. We prepare them, they review it, make sure everything is in order, and then we address any of their comments.
So are they actually, they're the administrators of the contract?
Yes, IDOT is administrating the contract for the federal government through the Federal Highway Department.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Mayor?
Hi, having lived here about 18 years and seen 3 big flood events, is this gonna be over-engineered for what is gonna be sweeping down that river?
Yes, the elevation of the bridge, what's called the low quarter, the bottom portion of the bridge, will need to be at an elevation that is at the 100-year event, so that the water goes underneath it. In the major event, very similar to the one on the north end. Back in April, I went on 59 to look at how that did, and it was well above the event at that point. So, and that's designed for about the same height.
That river came across Plainfield Naperville Road, came into our subdivision, it rose, I don't know how much. So
It
just.
will flood that area. That whole area is floodplain, and so that's the reason for the basin that would need to be excavated here to compensate for that. But you're right, that whole area floods. But they look at a channel that carries the flow a little bit more stringently. And so through the modeling that we're submitting, they review that to make sure that whatever we put there, whatever obstruction, doesn't hold water back and create problems upstream.
I got a question for you on that basin, it's taking away Park District lands, I presume, making it unusable.
Well, yeah, there is.
My thought is, what about on the, was it the North Bank?
There's 2 different layers of floodplain fill that are being impacted. And so regulatory-wise, you have to address one separate from the other. So as the water fills up from the 0 to 10-year event, the lower floods, and then you have the higher floods from the 10 to 100, whenever you fill a bridge, you end up filling into both of those areas, and you're required to compensate for that. And this is probably the most economical place to be able to get it. If, as Steve said, if there's any opportunity through the other project, if there's any available 10 to 100 year fill, we'll get that first. That's the hardest to find, and it happens to be very economical at this particular location. It's a triangular piece, so we looked at configuring it in such a way that you still had a rectangular playing area, and we put in a size soccer field that would be a regulation size for like professional soccer, 120 by 75 yards. So however this is practiced, this is a practice field now, it's still very usable, and the triangular portion is the part that we would excavate down and use as primary top storage area.
Now, will that be retaining water at any time, basically, let's put it this way, at all times? And with your excavation in regards to the basin, I know the fact that, with the river height in regards to the level in the park district, it's mighty close. So any kind of movement of, or removal of soil, is it ground seepage itself will basically bubble up and hold water at all times, just as the river.
Well, there will be a pipe that drains to the river. So there will always be positive flow towards the pipe and then in through the pipe to the river.
Because I don't want to see you guys have a lake.
No, there won't be a lake there. If anything,
out there.
there's some options for some native vegetation as an option versus open grass in this area, not in the plain area. But in either case, you will not be standing water.
Yes, sir.
John, what's the design speed on that north curve, north of the river there?
This,
That tight one, yeah.
this one there. I'd have to double check with our designer, but I believe that's 10 miles an hour.
Aren't they?
Yeah. So it's a little bit, it's not as sharp as the ones on the north end of town.
Okay, bring it back to the path in regards to the flooding situation off the river. In regards to these paths, are they going to be developed in regards to withstand flooding conditions that arrive numerously up and down that river? In regards to erosion and deterioration of your material you're using as asphalt, which has a tendency to wash and buckle away under water washouts.
I think a couple of the vulnerable areas will be the abutments and the velocities near the abutments. And so we will be running scour analysis to make sure that the abutments aren't being undermined as far as the structure is concerned. As far as the trail is concerned, the pavement will be such that it will be able to handle. Probably the most vulnerable time is because it's established in that first 1-year warranty period, where if there's a flow before the grass and the roots and everything has a tendency to be able to
Basically, my
stabilize.
concern is patient washout.
Yeah.
And once those river rises, the current should flow pretty steadily and do enough destruction to move the road out of the way.
Right.
So, but I'm saying, since you're developing this, to make sure it's prepared for this type of conditions. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What would be the maximum weight limit on that? Is for pedestrian, bicycles, golf carts, anything heavier than that?
That's a good question. Right now, the weight limit on it is an HS 10, and so that would be light-duty emergency vehicles. And
14 foot wide?
yeah, it's 16 feet clearance. Okay, and there will be some bollards placed so that it would prevent anyone from crossing here, general public. So a couple bollards right in front of that to prevent anyone from driving with an emergency vehicle had to cross.
It's 140 foot long?
Approximately, yes.
16 foot wide.
Perfect.
Any other questions for the public? No? All right, thank you, sir, appreciate you coming.
I had a question for Steve.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Bid opening is April 28th.
I believe so, yes. Late April, I haven't checked the exact date.
Is it going to be a working day contract or a completion day contract?
A completion date contract.
And that completion date would this proposed for?
For, I believe it's either October or September. I have to double check that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, thank you. All right, Mr. Brian Johnson cannot make it tonight because due to illness, so for the staff report.
It's bad.
All right, that's right.
I just had a couple of little things. I wanted to make sure that you all had copies of the Room for the Roses flyer. It's the Foundation Wine and Beer Tasting event to be held May 10th. If you would like tickets and such, they can be purchased through the Park District office. It's an event open to the public to support the Friends of the Plainfield Park District Foundation and the activities. They're an organization that supports the Park District within its mission. Specifically, they fund the assistance program as well as some of the events that are held throughout the district. So if you're interested in tickets, you can let myself know or contact the office. I have an LCSRA report to pass along as well. I'm making it into the board packet. And I also wanted to get direction from the board as to whether you would like this Plainfield Sports Facility Group to attend the May meeting. They requested to attend and make a presentation to the board about some viable options for a possible facility within the community. I just want to know if the board would like them to attend and make those presentations, and if you have any specific questions.
Did you give us an update on the last meeting?
I sat down with Eric from Plainfield Sports Facility Group. I actually myself, as well as 3 of the rec staff, sat down with Eric and we did some brainstorming about the possibilities and uses for the indoor and outdoor portions of this facility for us as a district and for the community as well. Went very well. We met for about an hour and a half. Had some great discussion about opportunities for the community as a whole. After that, I did also meet with the administrative assistant and go through, which things and how many hours that we would propose within a year that they would be utilized by either us as a district or we could see other organizations within the community utilizing them. So they were going to take that as they were looking at getting financing and would like to present to the board as well and see what interest the Park District might have in becoming one of their partners.
Okay, sounds good. So you need direction with
Would you like them to attend, and if anybody has any questions, ask you to forward either them to Jean or myself so that the sports facility management group can be prepared to answer them to the best of their ability.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Salaska?
Okay, I will set them up for you.
All right, sounds good. Any other?
Nothing else to understand.
I've got a quick report as a follow-up to last week, or our last impromptu, official, non-official meeting. As far as field space for PSA, thanks to Kathy Ayers and Georgiana Shimshak on my staff, we have plenty of room. The fields are being laid out as we speak. Everybody's gonna play. We have no problem with travel. We have no problem with outside people renting the fields. And I did tell Kathy I'd like to have a few different meetings this summer where we could talk about things, what we're gonna do next year to move forward, make things better. But for now, everything worked out and the kids are gonna be happy. So, thank you.
All right, time for the public comments. So anybody who would like to address the board, please do so.
Good evening, Board. My name is James Rasich. The last name is spelled R-A-C-I-C-H. I'm a resident of Plainfield Park District. I'm here as a Plainfield Park District resident. Primarily this evening, I'm here to address a major affront to my reputation and most definitely the image of my public character. I have been an outspoken critic of certain parts of the Plainfield Park District. the administration in particular. Then I must define the administration by saying Mr. Hurtado, Ms. Solowski, Mr. Stannies, Mr. Peck, and Mr. Booth. I would give two exceptions to Mr. Larry Newton and Ms. Ludeman. They are not in my comment of any derogatory remark. My chief grievance this evening